Hello and welcome back to another episode of the LET Golf Podcast. I'm George Cooper here with Nicola Kenton, and it's a big week. It's the Solheim Cup team reveal. So who better to have joining us than the one and only Leona Maguire? Leona, how are you doing?
Morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for joining us. Obviously, the news is now out. You're one of 8 qualifiers and one of 12 team members for Suzanne's extraordinary team. Really, just give us your immediate reaction.
Yeah, I mean, obviously delighted to be a part of my second team. I think last time went as bad as well as it possibly could have. So I think it's obviously a really strong team, and Suzanne has a wealth of experience behind her, as sort of with Laura and Carolyn there in the and Anna in the backroom team as well. So I think yeah, everyone's really excited, and it's only 4 weeks away now. It seems a long way away, but I'm sure the weeks will fly in, and I think we all can't wait to get started.
Yeah, likewise for us too. And I mean, so Suzanne obviously revealed her 4 captains pick yesterday. Just give us your immediate reaction to that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think she definitely went with experience. Obviously, Madeline's been there before, Emily's been there before. Caro has one of the best records in Solheim Cup, going 5-0 and been only one of the few players to do that. And then obviously Gemma's been playing great lately, so nice to see her get the nod as a rookie as well. So, yeah, I think we've got a great mix in the team. There's some really strong rookies. I think Lynn and Maya don't really seem like rookies, and I think that's been a strength of ours over the past few editions of the Solheim. Our rookies haven't played like rookies, so hopefully that trend can continue.
Yeah, you sure showed that last time out. And I mean, I think I heard you joke earlier in the year that you were going to have to scrub up on your Swedish because we have so many Swedes in the team. I mean, 5 coming in, like you say, Lynn, Maya, Caroline, Anna, and Madeline. Just tell us, what do you think the vibe's going to be like in that team?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I think we all always get along so well. I think that was one thing I noticed from the last time. There was nothing sort of staged or rehearsed about it. We all just got along so well. We didn't need to do any extra like team bonding activities or trips or anything like that. So hopefully this time's no different. I think we all know each other so well. We play practice rounds together, we go to dinner together, we have lunch together every other week. So there's no reason for it to be any different this time around. And yeah, obviously a very Scandinavian team this time, half the team being Scandinavians, but I think that just speaks to the strength of European golf right now. They've become a powerhouse, and yeah, I think lots of potential options for pairings and things like that. So yeah, exciting times.
Yeah, for sure. And I know you can't give too much away, but is there anyone like in particular, like, yeah, I really want to play with them?
I think that's the beauty about this team. I think nearly anybody can play with anybody. And I suppose that's the thing with Solheim Cup. Suzanne's the boss. I'm sure she has a few tricks up her sleeve, but I mean, I think it's going to be like last time. I think you have to go in with a very open mind of um willing to play with anybody for any format, and it's a case of everybody's just going to have to knuckle down and do whatever needs to be done. And I suppose last time I had no clue that I'd been playing with Mel, and that would be such a successful pairing. So who knows, maybe Suzanne might have another few of those up her sleeve this time.
Yeah, I'm sure she will. And obviously, coming in with such a fantastic record from last time, somewhat the MVP, getting 4.5 points. Like, how much confidence does that bring you personally now going into this Solheim?
Yeah, lots of confidence. Obviously, it's going to be a very different sort of setting and everything this time, playing in front of home fans. So that'll be cool to be able to experience that. It almost feels like kind of like a rookie all over again, but not quite. Having the added confidence from last time obviously helps. But yeah, there's still going to be a lot of new things this time. So I think the biggest thing is just to go out and enjoy it and be incredibly open minded and not afraid to ask questions. I think that was the big thing I took from last time, not being afraid to ask why we're doing what we're doing. How does this work? Things like that from the older players. I think Carlotta and Mel and Anna were huge in that regard last time. So um I would imagine Carlotta and Anna will play sort of a similar role, and Caro as well, with their experience for some of the younger members on the team this time.
Yeah, definitely. And just final one from me then. I know you've had a chance to get out to Finca, haven't you? And had a look at it. What do you make of the course? How's it shaping up? How's it going to suit us? Just tell us a bit about Finca.
Yeah, it's a big golf course. I think it kind of suits longer hitters a little bit. Big greens, big golf course. It's fairly wide open off the tee, for a Spanish course. So I know Suzanne has a lot of choices to make in terms of setup and how do you want the rough and the greens and all that sort of thing. But Um, I think it'll be interesting. It'll be nice to see it played differently depending on foursomes or four balls and things like that. I think you'll see some holes set up a little bit differently, and then obviously probably one of the main talking points is being that first hole being drivable over the water. So that would make it nice and dramatic for opening tee shots for all the crowd gathered around the first tee.
Absolutely. And on the podcast, we like to delve back into people's journeys of how they got into golf. So, Leona, how did you get into the sport of golf?
Yeah, I started when I was about 9 or 10 with my twin sister Lisa. We grew up doing everything together, playing sort of all sorts of sports, and yeah, I took it up one summer, and we grew up like 5 minutes from a golf course, so started on a 9-hole par three course, and just being competitive like we were. I was trying to beat her, she was trying to beat me, and just kind of all snowballed from there. And yeah, figured out after a bit that we were actually pretty good at it, and yeah, just kind of went from there.
As I say, you mentioned there that you played other sports. I know that you did swimming and other things. Were you just very sporty children? You loved getting involved with everything.
Yeah, I think so. I think dad's big into sport himself, so he kind of just we tagged along with him to football matches, and he taught us in school as well. So like we just did everything together. We were quite outdoorsy as kids, so there was no iPads and phones back in those days, so it was kind of out in the garden playing with whatever ball and stick and everything we could find. And yeah, it was I think a good way of doing it. And yeah, a lot of team sports growing up as well. So that's the nice thing with Solheim, I suppose, coming up, that we actually get a chance to play some team golf for a change.
Of course. And in terms of when you kind of figured that you were good at golf and that maybe golf could be your thing, what age were you when that happened?
Oof. Probably about 13 or 14, I would say. I think um like where we grew up, there was no other girls playing. We used to play with the lads in the local club and stuff, and they let us play on their teams until we got to about 14 or 15, and we'd play in their competitions and things like that. We were just happy enough to beat each other. We weren't really worried about what other people were doing, or had any concept of how good we are outside of each other. So it probably wasn't until we started going to bigger competitions around Ireland, and I think we went to the Scottish like under 16. One year when we were like 13, 14, won the Irish Lace Close when we were 13, stuff like that. I think then it started to become a more on our radar that, oh, actually, yeah, we're actually pretty good at this.
And you mentioned competitions there. Well, you and Lisa do hold the record for kind of being the twins who played on the LET, but also made the cut on the LET when you're just 12 years old. Talk me through that. Like, what was that like teeing it up in your first tournament? You're 12 years old. You've only been playing for a couple of years. How was that experience?
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit surreal. It was quite daunting. We played up in Northern Ireland, up in Hilton Top Patrick. I think we were just kind of in awe of all the different girls with their tour bags and their names on their bags, and that just looked so cool, and all of that. And it was obviously a very long golf course. I think there was a lot of the par fours we couldn't like reach into, so we were just having to like chip and putt from everywhere and get up and down for pars and things like that. But I suppose we were probably hitting it so straight back then we didn't get into any trouble, so probably wasn't necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, no, I remember it quite well, being, yeah, very nervous, and then obviously enjoyed it then we played. And Elisa Hall won that week, and I remember just watching her around the chipping green, watching her chipping, watching her putting, and thinking how good all these girls were. And yeah, we were fortunate enough to play in a few Irish Opens as well in Killeen Castle, and watch Suzanne win and watch Sophia Staffson win. And I remember playing with Lexi Thompson and Stacey Lewis, and they're sort of memories that you always hold on to. You learn so much in those moments, and then that's when you kind of you look at them and go, yeah, I'd like this for me to be my life one day. It's pretty cool.
And you mentioned some of those people. Who were your heroes growing up that you looked up to in golf?
Yeah, I mean, when we started playing golf, Patrick Harrington was winning his majors, so he was the big one here in Ireland. Darren Clark won British Open as well, and those guys, so they were the big heroes sort of in Ireland. We were fortunate enough to go to the Ryder Cup in 2006, so got to watch Darren and Paul and Padraig sort of fly the flag there and be the local heroes. So that was really cool. And then I suppose in terms of ladies golf, there wasn't a lot of it on show here in Ireland. It wasn't until we went to home internationals and got to watch Beanie win in Lytham. That was sort of the first time I'd seen ladies golf like really up close on that level. And Suzanne would have been a big hero getting to play practice rounds with her at the Irish Open. Annika obviously as well, and players like that I think definitely were sort of role models for us growing up. And I think more so as well being sisters, I think competing in sport as well, we always looked to the Williams sisters, even though it wasn't golf, but tennis was similar enough, and the sort of rivalry was there, and they used to have to play each other in finals and things like that, so we kind of looked to them as well.
I was going to say, how much has it been a great support, and does it mean to you the fact that you and Lisa have been able to have this journey together throughout the whole thing?
Yeah, it's been massive. We were fortunate enough to do junior golf and amateur golf and play on Irish teams together, and junior Solheims and Curtis Cups and all of that, and then go to college together. And yeah, like she's still a massive part of my team, and works for Modest Golf behind the scenes, and does takes care of a lot of stuff that I don't have to worry about. So she's made a few guest appearances on the bag as well over the last few years. So yeah, she's a huge part of my journey, and it'll be nice to have her alongside us at the Solheim Cup again this year.
And are there any funny stories that you have from you two throughout your days of playing?
I don't know off the top of my head. I do remember the first Irish close we played. So Mom used to dress us in the same clothes when we were younger, and when we got to the Irish close final in Westport, one of our first finals, we were obviously dressed the same in semi-finals, and at lunchtime, one of the referees came up to Mum, was like, they need to change. We won't be able to announce who's won what hole and keep track of the score. So I need one of them to go and change their outfit so that we could tell the difference. So we used to have like those FootJoy, My Joys, which you used to get your name on them, and her coach had got us a pair as well. So a lot of people would just look at the shoes and then figure out who was who. But people still get us mixed up like decently often. She probably won't like me mentioning this, but Beanie and Trish Johnson did get us mixed up at Aramco in London and St. Ciarán a few weeks ago. So still people still get us mixed up quite often, which is funny.
That's great. Yeah, I saw that really good photo of the pair of you playing in the PING Junior Solheim Cup as well. Just tell us about that tournament, and how does that prepare you? I've heard a lot of players even come on this podcast, and we spoke to a lot of players, that tournament in particular is really good in terms of getting them ready, not just for the Solheim Cup, which obviously you're playing in, but tour life in general. So just tell us about the memories from that week and how it's helped you now.
Yeah, I mean, a really cool week. I suppose we were fortunate enough to be able to play in two of them, one in Chicago and then one in Ireland, which was unbelievable. And yeah, played foursomes together, and yeah, like it's one of the things you go and you play, and it's the first time you kind of are used to playing with people that you're used to playing against, and whether it's the Spanish players, the French players, or the Swedish players, and you all come together for that week. And we had Karen Cope for our captain the first time, and then Lotta Neumann the second time. And you do your thing and you battle it out, and then you go watch the big Solheim. And we got to go play like 9 holes on the courses in like a exhibition match on one of the practice days, and you get to meet all the players, and it's just really cool to be up close and see them do their thing. And then I suppose it's nice to come full circle then and actually make the big team yourself. And I know myself and Sophia, we were on the team together in 2009 in Rich Harris Farms, and we were looking back last time in Toledo of the old photos of us with our face paint and our flags and our ribbons and all of that from our junior days. And it's pretty cool to have come full circle to be on a team together, whatever, like 10, 12 years later.
Yeah, that is awesome. And a big question then, do you remember the first time you met Suzanne and what she was like?
Yeah, me and Lisa played 9 holes with her at an Irish Open in a practice round. Being quite intimidated, quite scared, we probably didn't say very much. We were pretty shy back then, so I doubt we said very much. We were kind of just sort of in awe on her of all her Nike gear, and just yeah, she just was a very cool and competitive customer back then. But to be fair, she couldn't have been nicer, and I think that was the thing that stuck with both of us, that here's a legend of the game, one of the best players in the world, and yet she is the time and to play with 2 little 14, 15-year-olds at the time who were just excited for her to be there. So yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, and it must make you even more excited to play under her this summer, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, she's been there. She's done pretty much everything there has to do in the Solheim Cup. If you look back, I suppose at nearly every highlight reel of Solheim Cups, there she is holding a big putt when she needs to, or pulling off a shot. So yeah, I think every single one of us will want to do our very best for her and to help bring the trophy back to Europe.
Yeah, and we can't wait. Well, going back to your amateur career then, I know you mentioned earlier Duke University, going over to North Carolina. Just tell us, what was that whole experience like? Obviously, you and your sister, girls from Ireland, moving over to their big sporting college, of course, huge of their basketball, but really good golf team too. Just tell us about that.
Yeah, it was definitely a bit of an adjustment. Obviously, didn't know really what to expect. I suppose it was nice, obviously, that we had the two of us were there together. So being that far away from home was nice to have both of us there in the same place. And it was quite a heavy European team when we were there. Celine was there, Virginia was there at the same time. Anna Belloc was there. So it was nice to have sort of Europeans as well, being that far away from home. And Duke had an unbelievable record both in basketball and women's golf. Coach Brooks is one of the most successful golf coaches there are. So yeah, I mean, we just had access to the best of everything. It was the weather was great, the facilities were phenomenal, coaching. We got treated so well, and you were given absolutely every opportunity to succeed. And that was a big sort of learning curve and a great environment to sort of grow and thrive both as sort of golfers, athletes, and as people as well. You had to sort of balance your golf and your schoolwork and your friends and all of that, and make sure you got everything done. So it was you were juggling a lot of things, but at the same time, it was a lot of fun as well, getting to know all the other athletes and going to watch different sports and cheer everybody on. And yeah, I just really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I bet. And what was Celine like as a teammate, as a fellow college student?
Yeah, I mean, I think we were very competitive when we were there. I think we were quite similar. We were both quite quiet and shy, and then when we got on the golf course, very competitive. So, um, yeah, it was great to have her there and learn from her for 2 years. When I came to Duke, she was the best player I think in the world and in the country at the time. So it was great to see how she practiced and did her thing, and she was so professional and methodical and everything about everything she did, whether it was at school or golf or that. And yeah, it was great to have her there, and nice to sort of been on two Solheim Cups together since and see how our journeys have progressed.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we had Georgia Hall on here a few weeks ago, and this was actually before her crazy 2 weeks where she won the Evian Championship and the Scottish. And Georgia was saying, I think she's so underrated. She goes under the radar a bit. She doesn't perhaps get the praise she deserves. And now she's gone on this unbelievable run and is arguably one of the best players in the world at the minute. So how has it been like to see that this past month?
Yeah, I mean, not. I think anybody that knows Celine knows that it's not surprising. She's obviously incredibly talented, works incredibly hard. Um, always knew when we were at Duke, she'd be one of the first people on the range and one of the last to leave. Whether it was her putting or hitting or whatever it was, she was unbelievably driven. So I think it was only a matter of time before this all happened. And yeah, it's great to see her doing so well. And good to see a fellow European doing so well in the world of golf. So yeah, hopefully she's enjoying it, and it's fantastic to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Bears well for September too. And final one then from me on your, well, brilliant amateur career in the end. You and Lisa both went off to the 2016 Olympics, obviously your sister on your bag. Just tell us, especially coming in as an amateur, like what was that whole experience like? That must have been very surreal. And do you have any stories from it?
Yeah, I mean, it was really cool. It was kind of it wasn't really on my radar. I didn't think it was possible as an amateur to play in the Olympics. And then
Mm.
I finished second at the Buckinghamshire at that event, that LET event. I got an invite that summer after my freshman year of college, and obviously got a lot of world ranking points from that. And then remember getting a phone call from Paul McGinley and saying, "Okay, now there's a chance for you to make the Olympics." And I kind of went, "Oh, that's didn't expect that, but that's really cool." And then played a couple of majors, qualified for a couple of majors, and got more points like that. And yeah, it was very surreal. I mean, the Olympics are something you grow up watching as a kid, and remember Athens and Beijing and London, and watching, following it all on the TV. And then even in Rio, the fact that golf is always that second week near the end, we didn't fly out for the opening ceremony or anything like that. So we were at home watching like the athletics and the swimming and all of that. And then all of a sudden you're there and you're in the village, and you're in the massive dining hall where there's thousands of people and every sort of food you can imagine, and the 24-hour McDonald's and you see Usain Bolt walk by and you see Serena Williams walk by, and I think that's where it kind of hits you and you're like, oh wow, I'm here with some of the best athletes in the world. And we got to go to the pool and watch Michael Phelps' last race and like sit behind the blocks, and got to go to the track and watch Usain Bolt in the relay and things like that. It was just their memories that it kind of almost takes you back to being a little kid. That you're there almost, yes, you're there to compete yourself, but you're almost there as a fan as well. And so I think for anybody that likes sport, that it's one of those once in a lifetime events that it's one thing watching on TV, but being there and walking around the village, you're just trying to soak it all up. And I think Ireland's always a small team, so there was great camaraderie with all the athletes. We went to watch and support each other and cheer on other sports and things like that. So that was really cool, and staying in the village. And I compared it a lot to college. It was very similar to college, just on obviously a much bigger and like grander scale. So I think it was nice to have that experience in Rio of the full sort of experience, as opposed to Tokyo, which was a lot more scaled back and with COVID and everything. So it was nice to have the experience of both.
Yeah, you must be looking forward to playing next year in Paris.
Yeah, I mean, again, unbelievable venue, and you can already see the videos of the opening ceremony and how cool they're going to do things. So, fortunate enough to go to two closing ceremonies. I don't know if we're going to get to go to the opening ceremony this time, but it's nice that it's a little bit closer to home. And so hopefully some friends and family might be able to travel over this time. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
And you mentioned there that obviously you did that whilst still at college. So what was the point at college where you were thinking about turning pro? Did you ever think that you weren't going to complete college, that you might have turned pro earlier, or was it always the plan to do the full years at school if you could?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I went there, the plan was always to do 4 years, and then I remember freshman year, my first year, I won the Annika Award and all that, and I remember coming out of the presentation and met one of the other players, and they went, "So when are you turning pro?" And I was like, I hadn't even really thought about it. It wasn't on my radar at all. And then was second in the Buckinghamshire, and then people were like, "Oh, you turn pro now?" And I was like, "No, don't think so." Going back to college, and then sort of every year after that, it was always questions of like, "When you turn pro? When you turn pro?" And obviously there was people played Curtis Cups, and then Bronte had turned pro, and different people had turned pro, and it was kind of like Charlie had obviously turned pro young, Lydia Coe had turned pro young, Georgia had turned pro without going to college. And I think there was this myth that you went to college and you got worse, and it was kind of, oh, don't be careful, don't stay there too long, or you will get worse, or you'll miss the boat. And I remember anytime I played in a pro event, the overarching sentiment from the girls on tour was always the LPGA is going nowhere. Stay in school, get your education. The tour will always be here. Don't rush it, things like that. So yeah, I mean, my parents are both school teachers, so education was always important. And yeah, there was times in college where I thought about turning pro, and you saw girls that you grew up playing and doing well on the LPGA and be like, oh, I'd like to be doing that. Or like I said, did well in the box and did well in like British Opens and things like that, and handed back the big checks. And it was people going, if you'd have turned pro, this is what you'd have got this summer, and things like that. So tried not to focus on that too much. But no, there was times I entered Q School a couple of times, and had my symmetric card then when I turned pro, straight away out of college. So I mean, I always said going to Duke was one of the best decisions, and staying there I think was one of the best ones as well. I was fortunate enough to be in that environment for 4 years, and it really helped me grow and develop. And then when I did turn pro, I think I was more ready for the demands of pro life, because I don't think people realize what goes into sort of life on tour. It is a full-time job, and the travel and everything that goes on behind the scenes. It's not just playing golf. And I don't think as a 16, 17, 18-year-old I'd have been even close to being ready for that.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned obviously Q Series there, and the fact that obviously you had entered a couple of times. What's that process like? We speak to everyone about it, and it's something that every golfer has to go through. But what was that like for you?
Yeah, Q School is a very strange week. It's everybody, there's a sense of unease, I think, that nobody really wants to be there. It's kind of, you do it once and you hope you never have to do it again. And it's the one tournament I always found strange. It was the one tournament that people didn't care if they won; they just wanted to qualify. It was finishing that top 15 or top 20 or whatever it was, to advance and get through. So there's the stakes seem a bit higher that week. It's everybody's a bit more on edge. Just not a particularly pleasant week, and I did it in Florida for LPGA, did it in Morocco for LETQ school. So I missed that year in 2018. I missed LPGA school by a shot. Obviously was incredibly disappointed, and then sort of had to pick myself up and dust myself off, and then went to LETQ school in Morocco. And spent 2 weeks in Morocco. Was had to do the pre-qualifier and then the final qualifier, and those 2 weeks felt like two of the longest weeks I think of my life, playing those courses, eating spaghetti bolognese pretty much every day for lunch and dinner, and I think we got home like 2 days before Christmas or something like that. So it was a nice Christmas present and things like that to be over and done with Q school and things like that. But yeah, like I said, it's one of those things you do once and you hope you never have to do it again.
Absolutely. And you mentioned before, obviously, turning professional, you then played on the LPGA in your debut, and then the week later you were on Symetra, now known as Epsom. But you did record your first hole-in-one as a professional at that tournament. Talk me through that. What was that like?
Yeah, they were kind of a sort of surreal few weeks. Tour Pro played in the ShopRite, played really well there, and I suppose that place will always have sort of special memories, knowing that was my first pro start and things like that. And then yeah, went to there was sort of big crowds always at ShopRite. It was great buzz about the event. And then we got on a little plane and went to Decatur, Illinois, which was kind of middle of nowhere, soybean fields, cornfields, things like that, and it was a bit bizarre. And then yeah, I got my first hole-in-one. No car, no nothing for it, just the pride of the hole-in-one. But I suppose a special memory to sort of in my second week as a pro. I haven't had many hole-in-ones since, so yeah, started it off well, but need to add a few more, I suppose.
And also, when you turned pro, obviously you signed with Modest Management, yourself and Lisa. What have they been like? Obviously, so the support that you've had from Modest throughout the years and from now and that company.
Yeah, they've been great. I mean, they kind of were a young up and coming company when I've started, and it's been nice to see them grow and develop alongside my career as well. And Niall's obviously very passionate about golf and about growing the game and things like that. So yeah, they've been a huge help, sort of behind the scenes, taking care of a lot of things, so that all I have to do is focus on my golf. So been I've been very lucky my whole career, junior, amateur golf, professional golf, all the way up, to have a fantastic team behind me, and it does really help when you're sort of week in week out traveling and playing, and that you don't have to worry about the things behind the scenes, that it's all taken care of, and all that you have to do is go out and play golf.
And then we'll talk about your first win on the LPGA. What was that like, finally getting over the line? Obviously, you've been playing so well beforehand, and yeah, finally being able to get the trophy in your hands.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the funny thing about winning. You never really think it's going to happen until it actually happens. I think I was leading the week before, and kind of messed up the last day and had fallen behind. But yeah, went into that week. We had like a lot of rain delays, and it was up in Northern California, so a lot of people were sort of joking, "Oh, it's Irish weather this week," and things like that. And there was quite a lot of people that had come from sort of San Francisco, Irish people, to come out and support, and was obviously playing really well. I think I had a really good last day, and sort of had to wait around for a playoff and things like that. And yeah, won in a playoff, which was really cool. And it was nice to sort of get that first win under my belt. And sort of, I suppose the big thing with Symetra is getting them top 10 cards, and winning obviously helps a lot with that. So it was sort of a step in the right direction of sort of the first step on the journey to get my card. So yeah, really cool moment.
As I say, and then when you have come across, obviously from Symetra up to the LPGA, what was that like? Again, another step up transitioning.
Yeah, I think Symetra or Epsom, I think it's really good preparation for the LPGA. I think you get used to having to make cuts, to playing on the cut line, to be in contention to win, playing in pro-ams, all that sort of stuff, traveling from one event to another, and learning how to practice and how to schedule your weeks and things like that. So it was a massive learning opportunity, I think, and really helped me to sort of hit the ground running when I got to the LPGA. I suppose my rookie year on the LPGA was a strange one. It was 2020, played an event in Florida, played 2 down in Australia, and then the whole world stopped. and we were down in Australia. We were about to go to China, and then had a huge West Coast swing on the LPGA coming up, and then we went home out of Australia, and everybody sort of was like, "Oh, it'll be a few weeks," something like that, and then 6 months later it started again. But yeah, it was a bit of a sort of strange rookie year, 2020, and then but it was nice to sort of, I suppose, find my feet, figure out how the LPGA worked without any of the pressure of keeping a card or anything like that. So I suppose for us rookies in 2020, we got sort of almost like a bonus rookie year, which was really nice to find our feet and sort of ease us into the LPGA, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure. And then finally, just moving on, because obviously you've got 2 wins in the past 2 seasons on tour. Last year at Drive On, and then this year at the Maya Classic. Talk me through the breakthrough, the Drive On last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big turning point for me was probably Meyer in 2021. I'd sort of been up leading after 2 rounds, and then Nelly made a big round on Saturday, and then we sort of went toe to toe on Sunday, and I suppose that kind of gave me confidence of knowing that I could sort of compete with the best players in the world, and then shot that 61 at Evian, which was a big confidence boost. And then a Solheim Cup was massive for me, in terms of knowing that I could hit the shots when I needed to, and the belief that Beanie had in me and my teammates had in me that week. That was just massive in terms of confidence. And I think I brought that into the off season, and then to get that win so quickly, I think in 2022 was huge. And I had been close a few times the year before. I'd played really well in Hawaii and lost to Lydia, and played really well at Meyer and lost to Nelly. And it was one of those ones where I shot 61 at Evian and that wasn't good enough. It was kind of like, is it ever going to be good enough? I'm playing really well, but I don't know if it's quite good enough. So it was nice to get over the line that early in the season and sort of outlast Lexi and things like that. So yeah, it was huge. And I suppose it was great for Ireland as well to be the first Irish winner on tour. I know a lot of people have supported me for a long time, and they're kind of always like, "Is this going to be the week? Is this going to be the week? She has a chance again." And yeah, it was nice to get that one, and I suppose the reaction from home was very special.
Yeah, and what was it like when you got home? Big celebrations, or when you mentioned the support of Ireland there, it must have been huge.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was fantastic. I suppose we're lucky being from Ireland, being from such a small country. Everybody sort of rallies behind everybody, and yeah, there was a huge outpouring of support. Got a letter from the president of Ireland, and lots of different athletes reaching out and things like that. So yeah, it was very special to be able to sort of share that with friends and family, and have everybody sort of cheer me on and wishing me well, and nice to see so many other people getting joy from it as well.
Yeah, that is really cool, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of Irish fans out in Spain come the end of September. I mean, who's going to be there? Have you, I guess, a lot of friends and family coming with you?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully there'll be. I know there's a lot of Irish people that sort of have holiday homes and winter homes down in the south of Spain, so hopefully there'll be a lot of them showing out. I know when we played in Spain at the end of last year, I played with Lane and a Spanish amateur, and we were joking during that round. There was more Irish people and Swedish people following around that day than there was Spanish people. So hopefully there'll be a nice mix of everybody in a few weeks' time. But yeah, I mean, I suppose the last time in Toledo with COVID and everything, Lisa was the only one that got to travel last time. So mom and dad will get to go this time, and they went to the Junior Solheims in Chicago and Ireland, so it'll be sort of a full circle moment for them, and hopefully my brother will be able to make the trip as well. And um I know my aunt's going, and I have lots of friends and family that are making the trip, so that'll be really cool for them. And I suppose Solheim Cup is one of those unique events that the atmosphere is like nothing else, and that first tee and all of that. So it'll be really cool for them that they got to see it on TV last time, and sort of they're kind of guessing what the atmosphere was like and trying to picture it in their heads. But it'd be really cool for them to see it for the first time themselves, and join in with hopefully all the. I mean, that was the one thing I remember from the Junior Solheims, the songs on the first tee and all that. I don't know if that's going to be a thing again, but hopefully there'll be some of that in Spain for them to all join in on.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that it's almost, obviously you were at the last Solheim, you were the star of the show, but it almost feels like a first Solheim in a way for you as well, because it's the first one where there's going to be the crowds there. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a unique one, and we can't wait for sure. Just a final couple ones then, Leona, before we let you go. I mean, you're obviously home at the minute with an off week. tell us what does Leona Maguire get up to when she's at home, when she's not playing golf, when she's not got a club in her hand. Just tell us about yourself off the course.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always nice to come home. I don't get to do it as often as I would like, but I think that's been the nice thing with this summer actually, the way the schedule has fallen. We've had quite a big European swing, and it's nice to be home, nice to sleep in my own bed for a few more than a few nights in a row, and get to go home, see the dogs. They're happy to see me, and doing house renovations at the minute, so that's keeping us busy here. So there's a lot of decisions, a lot of things to be done, but no, I mean it's nice to come home, see family, see friends, people that I don't get to see sort of too often. So nice to catch up with everybody, and nice to go out on the lake at home and do things like that, just relax and get away from golf as well. But I suppose with the Irish Open coming up next week and Solheim in a few weeks, it's still very much making sure I'm doing all my practice and getting ready for those events, and trying to finish off the second half of the season as strong as we can.
Yeah, it's going to be a big one next week for sure. And you touched on friends there. I mean, we had Olivia Mahaffey on the podcast last week, and she was saying that you two are really close, and she often reaches out for you to support. Who are like your big friends on tour and in the golf community?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the nice thing with the tour. I think we're all in the same position. We travel the world together, and you do get really close with people. I mean, I've known Olivia since I was probably 10 or 11, and she was probably, I don't know, 7, 8. So we've come a long way, as with Stephanie Meadow as well. We've grown up playing together, and it was obviously nice to be at her wedding this year and things like that. So it's nice that there's sort of a growing group of Irish on tour. It's not as many as a lot of the other countries, and hopefully it'll be more in the next few years. But yeah, I mean, we've become very close over the years, and nice that friendship has continued on in our tour life, and we try and help each other as much as we possibly can. And I think when you're in America, the Europeans definitely tend to stick together on the LPGA. I mean, I spent a lot of time with Madeline Sagstrom, and play practice rounds together and have lunch together and things like that. I think the Aussies and the Europeans as well tend to spend a lot of time together. And then I also have my college friends that I played college golf with as well. So people like Emma Talley and Cheyenne Knight, and people like that as well. So a mix, I suppose, quite a mix. And then sort of being in Orlando, and I have my Lake Nona crew as well with Lydia and the Jutana Garns and Anna Belloc and people like that as well. So yeah, a sort of real mix of friends from sort of all around the world, and it's really cool to sort of bounce ideas off each other and share the journey together.
Yeah, that is great. Well, almost time to go then. Nicola, have you got any final questions for Leona?
I was just going to do a couple of quick favourite things.
Go for it.
Are you watching a TV series right now, Leona? Favourite TV series?
Favorite TV series. I actually watched Wednesday last week. I know I was a bit late to the party, but it was pretty cool. Looking forward to the next season, whenever that is.
I think they're filming it already, so hopefully it'll be out soon. If you were going on holiday, would you do a beach holiday or like a mountain holiday?
Probably beach. I quite like water sports, so yeah, probably beach.
In terms of food, what is your favorite meal? If it was the last meal that you could eat, what would it be?
Such a big question. There's so many choices. I mean, I do love a good like Sunday roast when I'm home. So when I'm home, that's kind of Sunday dinner. No matter what day of the week I get home, that's kind of what mom's go to is. So, yeah, probably Sunday dinner. And then if it's not like if I'm not at home, probably Mexican food, probably Mexican or Thai. They're probably usually my two go-tos wherever we are.
Yeah. What's the favorite or the best golf course that you've played?
We kind of got spoiled this year. Pebble was really cool this year. Yeah, Pebble was really cool.
Yeah. And then finally from me, your dream fourball. So you and 3 other people. And it could be anyone.
This one always changes so often depending on when people ask it. I usually always include Serena Williams. I think she'd be really cool. And then I try not to pick golfers for her because I feel like that's just a bit predictable. But I always think like Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds would be really cool to play with. I always like switch them. I don't know if for golf, but like a dinner party guest, they'd definitely be really cool. They're always really cool on like funny on like Twitter and Instagram and whatever. I know they're obviously involved in football in Wales now. So yeah, sure, we'll pick them. And then have I one more, or is that it? Is that 4?
That's for if you're playing yourself. If you don't want to
Yeah,
play, you don't have to.
that's 4. Lisa can carry me for me. She'll enjoy the fun of games. I'll not leave her out.
I think that's fair. I think that might be the best fourball we've actually had on here. Everyone always comes on and just says Tiger and Rory. Predictable.
I feel like that's predictable, and that's also like kind of possible. I feel like better going with ones that probably will never ever happen.
Yeah, no, that's a great one to finish on. So yeah, you're definitely winning our dream fourball questionnaire now. So well done, Leona. No, we'll let you go now because I know you've got a busy day of media obligations and practice and whatnot. Obviously, we'll see you next week in Ireland. But yeah, thank you for joining us, Leona, and best of luck for the rest of the season and best of luck for the Solheim Cup.
Thanks, guys.